Good afternoon. We are at about 4:45 on Monday, February 10th, with a quorum of members in the chamber, and I'm calling this Human Resources Committee to order. Number one is approval of the December 30th and January 13th minutes. They're in your packet. Any questions? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to accept. Motion by Killian, second by Martins. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. The Human Resources Report for January 2025, it's in your packet. Any questions that we could ask? If not, oh, go ahead, Mr. Kissner.
I have a question. The assistant city attorney still is not, are we hiring? I see that isn't posted on the job description. I mean, on the career opportunities. Where are we? I would think that, I asked the same question last month. Are we posting, or do we know?
I do believe we're going to be reposting that position. We had interviews 2 weeks ago, and couldn't find a perfect candidate, so we're going to be reposting that position. I do believe that's what Ann wants to do.
Okay, thank you. But, it's not listed on our webpage as a job opportunity. Thank you.
Item number 3, discussion and possible action to approve the Equal Employment Opportunity Plan and amend Employee Handbook Section 1.01, Equal Employment Opportunity.
The Human Resources seeks the HR Committee approval of this updated Equal Employment Opportunity, or EEO plan. The updated EEO plan is a federal requirement that is tied to the compliance with the Victims of Crime Act grant. The VOCA grant provides funds to the Wausau Police Department Victim Resource Unit. Available to this plan will ensure the continuation of the compliance with the federal regulations and maintaining funding eligibility.
Madam Chair, it's great that we're putting this in our handbook. It's very positive, but I have a question. On pages 14 and 15, it talks about the city following all non-discrimination laws and regulations and everything that it does. My question is, does the city have a language access plan? Because I don't believe that you can comply with non-discrimination laws without LEP requirements.
I would have to check with that, Ms. Killian, and find out.
I thought that would have to maybe be addressed to Ann, but she's not here, so I did want to pose that question. And I also wanted to mention that I know that that has been brought up multiple times over a great period of time. And if we don't have one, it feels like we should make an effort to formalize one and add it to our handbook.
Our handbook?
Well, would it not have to be a part of the EEO plan? I don't know.
I mean, the EEO plan,
Well,
I guess that's regarding employment.
Mm-hmm.
So are you saying that anything in the handbook is about employment? Are you talking employment, or are you talking beyond employment?
Well, I mean, in our EEO plan, don't people have to know, they have to have to be aware of requirements and so forth, doesn't there have to be a limited English proficient? Doesn't that have to be addressed, the limited English proficiency in our handbook? Or where would that be addressed?
Well, in page 3 of 11, in the plan, it item number C, it talks about general. It says the equal employment opportunity plan is written in English. It's specific case where other languages is needed, or for persons with visual impairment, needs readers or translators and/or interpreters are available upon the request free of charge.
But don't we need to, aren't we supposed, I don't know, it was just my understanding that we needed to have a language access plan. I know Metro Ride has one, but I didn't know if the city did or if they should have. So, I mean, that's a question that can be delayed. I just wanted to pose that.
Sure, I can get back to you with that.
Thank you.
Okay, yep, no, that's fine. So this equal employment opportunity plan, it was drafted through the police department, but we're putting it in the handbook, so this will apply to all departments within the city?
It will apply to all departments if we're expecting and looking for grants from the federal government.
Okay. So I didn't see anything that was in here that was, police specific except for the demographic information, but I would assume that if, other departments apply for federal grants like community development, et cetera, so they would be bound by this plan too.
Anybody that gets federal money.
That gets federal
Yep.
money would. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Are you, oh, go ahead.
Well, is this new to the city? I mean, haven't we had this before? I mean, I think it's almost, not that I went looking for it, but I would think that this would have been part of our handbook or our policies since it was established, because I think this is pretty basic to equal employment opportunities. And I guess I'm surprised that we have it, that we didn't have it before. I'm glad we have it now. But what else are we missing with regard to equal employment? I think that's pretty standard with regard to hiring nowadays, and I'm surprised we didn't have that before, so
Well,
thank you.
Yeah, Gary, we did have an equal opportunity employment in our handbook. We just didn't have a plan that was approved by this body or by council. We didn't have an active plan. So now we're providing you with the active plan.
Okay, thank you.
I guess maybe we need to put this aside until you are able to check that item that Alder Killian brought up.
I'm
sorry, I missed part of the first part of the meeting, but to your question, this is something that we've been doing since like 2012, I believe, in the file we had going back to Jim Tipple. Some of these requirements came out of the VOCA grant, and James created this, James Henderson, 2 years ago. And this has just been refined recently by Ann Keenan and updating the
Okay.
handbook.
Thank you.
So it would be appropriate, I think, to move it along so that we can not miss out on the VOCA grant.
Well, Terry, you had a very good question there.
And just to address what you said, Alder Tierney, I would be comfortable moving ahead with this, but I would like to have that question answered. Mr. Mayor, what I asked was that on pages 14 and 15 of the information in our packet, it says that the city follows all non-discrimination and regulation laws in everything that we do. But I asked, does the city have a language access plan? Because it's my understanding that you can't comply with non-discrimination laws without addressing LEP requirements. And I don't know that we have a language access plan. I know that that has been brought up multiple times in meetings that I've heard, but had Ann been here, I would have asked her if we have one, and if it's necessary, so.
So I guess I need some more clarification, because this is just about employment here. This
But-
isn't about dealing with residents. It's just, because anything that goes in the handbook is just employment. So are you saying that there needs to be a language access plan for people applying for City of Wausau employment?
Well, what it says in here is it says it follows all non-discrimination laws and regulations and everything that it does, but I don't know how it can do that without a language access plan. That's my question.
Well, I would say for the purposes of the VOCA grant, I don't know the details, and Keenan researched that, but if it's a requirement, then I think the question you asked is valid, and we would have to then take a look at it. But I don't believe it's necessarily a checklist item on this particular, I mean, it is a catch-all. It is a catch-all, so I can't answer that directly. But
And I'm okay moving forward on this, but I felt that was pretty related to non-discrimination, so I wanted to ask if we have that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does somebody want to make a motion to accept? Okay, motion by Gisselman, second by Killian. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. The next is discussion and possible action to approve the adjusted City of Wausau part-time, temporary, and seasonal wage rates.
On January 2nd, the Director of Public Works contacted the HR department in regards to wages, part-time wages for seasonal and temporary employees. He voiced that his department was unable to fill some seasonal positions, and unable to fill seasonal positions occurs within the staff to fulfill the duties that would otherwise be performed by outside full-time employees. The shift in duties has caused more experienced employees to do the job at a lesser cost that a normal person could perform. So the HR resources staff has reached out to public access and they had voiced back that there's a need for part-time rates to be increased to attract better applicants. HR staff has reached out to the police department, and they too had voiced concerns in regards to the community service officers, that they are in need of a salary increase in comparison to other municipalities. And the Human Resources Department has also sent out several surveys to local municipalities to review and revise the current part-time rates for temporary and seasonal employees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to see what those other communities have for rates so that we can do a comparison of what we have versus the other communities that were questioned. Because this obviously wasn't done at budget time, so this would be this would be a budget modification, I would think.
Hi, I can speak a little bit to it. I actually requested this last year from James. The numbers that we had are from county. They hire summer helpers, and that's kind of where we had took these numbers from. What we've had is like the last, I forget how many years. I know I was just looking over some of my numbers. We would like to have 8 summer helpers, and for the last probably 4 or 5 years, we haven't gotten anywhere close to that. We're usually lucky if we get like 2 or 3. I think I'm trying to think if it was 2020, I was just looking at some of the numbers, I don't know if it was 23 or 24, but we had 22 applicants, but we only were able to hire 3 of those, and most of them is, I think they throw their applications out there and then pick the best one once they get all their offers. Was some of the consensus, but as far as why it's after budget season, I know that's a frustration. We would have liked it to come sooner. We requested this in the past, and it's just always kind of gotten pushed off, I think. But yeah, the numbers, they actually came from county. That's what Marathon County's summer wages are this year.
And how many summer people do we hire between DPW, Parks, or would we like to have?
I don't know the numbers for the other. I know DPW is 14 is what we had in the packet there.
So question, so can county hire with these wages?
To my knowledge, yes. When I talk to city county parks, obviously they hire a lot more than us, but I know at the highway department, obviously the couple dollars more an hour seemed to made a difference for some of those people.
Because it seemed, I mean, it seems with the numbers in red, it seems in my view, it seems kind of low. The fourth year community service officer at $16 an hour is $4 less than the first year community service officer 2. I think that, I'm not sure about the rest of the HR committee, but I think even these numbers really reflect a meager wage for some of the people that we really do need help, that we really do need to hire. Community service officers, the seasonal techs, as well as the, some of the other staff, production assistants, really $16 an hour. I think if we're serious about hiring these part-time, I think we have to do a better, that's just my view. I don't know how the rest of the HR committee feels, but I would like a little bit, I think that this is really below living wage, even if it is part-time. And I think that I, for one, would want to do a little bit better than these rates. Thank you.
I respectfully disagree with Alder Gisselman. These are typically students, and this is not a living wage. This is summer help for, in the community service officers. That's usually students from the tech, from the justice program. I think when you look at DPW and you see the GIS intern, when they're going $18.50 to $23 an hour, that's a pretty good wage. Obviously the CSO2s, they're not asking for an increase because that is a pretty decent wage. So in my mind, looking at these numbers that are adjusted, I think for a summer job when they only have a 3-month commitment, and we're not looking at them supporting a family, in my mind, this is fine. Plus, they're getting the experience in the area that they're going to school for. So could they get maybe $15 an hour at McDonald's? Yes, but it sure looks better on a resume that they're working as a CSO rather than working at a restaurant, say. Thank you.
I just wanted to add a little bit more information. So the Parks Department hires all of the seasonals for the parks. So those are put into the budget based on the pay scales that they have established as part of the 25 budget. So they, their time schedule for making those increases completely different than the city. The departments have, unlike full-time employees where we're budgeting at position level, with the part-time people, we're budgeting a dollar amount. And the departments are expected to live within that dollar amount. So, for example, the CSOs, I know the police department is monitoring that CSO budget all the time to make sure that they don't overspend, and when they get close to budget, you know, the kids are done for the season. So it wouldn't be a budget modification, the hourly rate increase.
Do we have any idea when the last time we've increased the wages for these seasonal employees? Because I do not remember, sitting on this committee for, I don't know how many years, I don't remember the last time we've had a wage increase for seasonal work. Just to make a comment on the CS Community Service Officers too, that's a new position, so we established those rates just recently, so it's, I think that's the only reason why they're not being adjusted. But otherwise, I would, like Gary said, these rates are minimal, so, and if they're maintained by the, the budget allocation of X amount of dollars per cash of employees, I'm good with these meager allowances.
No, just to clarify, I was good with these allowances when Alder Gisselman was thinking they should even be higher than these allowances. That's where I respectfully disagreed. I think that the adjusted rates that we have on here are sufficient. Thank you.
I guess we'll find out if they can't get people in that. That will be anecdotal evidence that we may need to raise them, but right now, let's stick with what the department is requesting. That's my view. So, go ahead, Gary.
Well, but there also is a chart here for part-time. I mean, these, the part, you just go up from the seasonal, that other, the public access staff, the temporary rates with regard to specifically the production assistant for the public, they're the ones that we depend on every day, every meeting, to do our video production, and these are not seasonal, but they're here 12 months a year, and I think we should do a better job with them. But I'm hearing what the committee's saying. Thank you.
Madam Chair, maybe in order to satisfy those issues, like Alder Tierney said, maybe weren't these gotten by comparisons to other places? So maybe if we just see the comparisons, it would resolve all those questions. I think they're satisfactory, but.
Well, I mean, we just heard that they were compared to the county.
Right.
So, county is filling them at this point. I think that I would like to just, let's see what we can get. It's early. I don't know, Dustin, when do you start advertising these?
Actually, the only reason I haven't turned in to start advertising is I was waiting to see what happened here, so we know. But yeah, anytime now, we're going to start posting and then
Posting.
trying to fill them for summer.
And then if you're having trouble, you can come back to the committee?
Correct. Yep.
That's my view, is that let's try these. If you think that the county is not having any issue in filling these positions at this rate, I think that's a good starting point.
Yeah, county is what we used. We thought, hey, it's our closest neighbor, and they're that much higher. Like we thought, let's try that number and then see where we end up if we can get more candidates.
Okay. Any other questions?
I make a motion to accept those changes.
Okay. Motion second by Killian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Hang on. Okay. Discussion and possible action to approve the creation of a no payout vacation leave only bank and revise employee handbook section 8.04 vacation.
This request comes from the Human Resource Committee back from July 8th of 2024, when the committee asked the HR department to draft a policy in in regards, after we received input in regards to vacation banks outside the current banks in the probably in the increase larger than the current bank in our employee handbook. The consensus has been that we're requesting an 80-hour extended bank beyond the 360 hours that is currently in the handbook. This allows, the creation of this extra bank allows that employee not to have to ask for exceptions if their work allows them not to take vacation because of special projects that come up. This bank, the employee wouldn't be able to cash it in at the end of their time with the city. And it does help with those individuals that are currently outside the limits at this point within the city.
Just a little clarification. So this additional 80 hours they could not cash in, is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay. So we're basically talking about 10 weeks since we're adding on the 80 hours. It's a lot. Okay, it looks like there's a couple of exceptions on there when I looked through it. Is that correct? That it was worked out for people who had,
Yes, over the years, when staff, due to the workload, due to vacancies, staff has always gone to the mayor and asked if they were pushed, bumping up against the vacation accrual limits, ask if they could have it extended. So it was always a action done by the mayor. They allowed the extension or allowed the bank to continue to accrue so that employee wouldn't lose vacation time. So with this extra 80 hours, it now kind of, by being approved by this body, will allow that employee to accrue additional 80 hours. And then, because most of the employees that are beyond their bank are within under 80 hours at this point.
okay. So they could take a payout for the 32 weeks, and if they have 35 weeks, they don't get paid for that, just the 32 weeks. Is that what I'm understanding? Since it's no payout with those last 80?
The last 80 wouldn't be paid out.
Okay.
That's correct.
So will this end the exceptions then that are asked for people who are going over that, or no?
No, not at this point. This will be for any future employees that would go over their maximum amount of vacation bank.
Okay.
I think that this, at least as chair of this committee, I want to make it very clear that I think our employees need to take their time. I think it's important. I'm hearing more, well, I don't have time, I can't. It's just, you have to. I mean, I don't want to take vacation away, but we're going to be in a pickle at one point with payouts. And so I really, really would encourage all the department heads to encourage their employees to use the vacation, because they have, different department heads over the years have come to this committee asking for more vacation. So I don't know how many people this affects, but we've had, that they need, we start with 3 weeks now. And I just hope we're not, it was because of work-life balance. I hope people do take their time and their sick time if they're sick. It's just important. It's what the city wants to, people to have that work-life balance, so they're not coming in, getting other people sick. They're, taking their time as needed. I think that's an important thing instead of trying to bank as much as we can.
Thank you. I agree with that because the city this past year had done a pilot program over the summer where they were closing early on Fridays during the summertime to help with work-life balance. It gave people a little extra time over the summer weekends. My husband currently works for an employer that mandatorily makes you take at least one full week of vacation because they don't believe in a couple days here, a couple days there. It gives a person a good opportunity to really relax, take some time for family, mental health, what have you. And I think maybe the handbook needs to be looked at a little bit clearer, not just on this, but on some mandates as far as taking vacation, that you do have to take a solid week. Because, again, my opinion is that you take a long week and a Friday and a Monday off, you're not giving yourself that time to decompress. So, just my suggestion. Thank you.
Okay. I understand what everyone is saying here, but I do think it's important to appreciate some of the special situations that we find ourselves in at time. Obviously, the software implementations we've gone through over the last 2 years have been very challenging. I had tried to reach out to HR to try to get position assistance during the implementation, and basically we were not provided any assistance where, for example, the county had lots of assistance on implementation. I also think that, we have a lot of really dedicated staff. Payroll is one of the people that is on here, and in the month of January, we have all of our regulatory filings. We had to do W-2 and tax filing conversions, and we had to implement the new schedule for fire. Our payroll person was here until probably 8 o'clock every night this last month. It's very disheartening when you look at some of the male-dominated positions, like in police and fire and DPW, where you have salaried employees getting paid for virtually every hour they work. And I have a payroll person who worked Christmas Eve and New Year's, and she didn't get anything for that. So I think you have to be appreciative of the work that the people do.
And to answer that, I worked New Year's Day at my employer too and got nothing. So I understand that.
I think the other thing is when you say take time off, when you're working till 8 o'clock at night, it's hard to fit that in.
I understand that.
They are making sacrifices. When we were in the workday, payroll worked the entire week that her son was here from Germany visiting because she had things that had to get done. So it's not because people don't want to take time off, it's their dedication.
And I understand what you're saying, but there are also other points in the year, like you said, for the month of January, whatever. But there are also there's 52 weeks in a year. All 52 weeks, they should, if they are working 12, 13, 14-hour days, all 52 weeks of the year, then
That's a problem.
there's a problem. There's a big problem.
We do have a problem. Again, like we can't keep employees. I've had one position vacant since August due to long-term illness. I now have another vacant accountant position. It's been very challenging.
Why is that challenging? I mean, not that, why is it
'Cause
challenging? What is causing the challenges or the
So
barriers to get people here?
The August vacancy is due to FMLA. So that person's been out. But, it's just people coming and then leaving.
Do they
So-
say it's the hours, or do they say it's
No,
not a
like the
good
person
fit?
that just vacated decided to, so we hired her. I think she hasn't even been here 2 years, and she decided to stay home and be a grandma full-time. So,
Well, I mean, my concern is that this person's going to burn out, and, I mean, why, and if we can't get, I worry about that should never happen. We should have another second employee. I mean, I think the whole committee would say that if that appears to be too much work for one person. So why are we not being able to get another person in that area?
Well, we could. So again, like we spend a lot of time cross-training because, of course, cross-training is really important in our department. So this person that just quit to be a grandma, Peggy probably spent 6 months to even more to train her to be our payroll backup. So now we are
Starting
without
again.
payroll backup. So we have to start that process all over again. And really, during that time, you're not getting additional production out of staff because they're in the learning mode. And so you're basically slowing down your fast producer to teach the slow producer, and you're really losing time. But you have to have those critical backups in place.
Yeah.
Right, but I agree with Alder McElhaney. A person cannot be burnt out. I mean, at some point, they have to take a week off. I mean, if work suffers, I guess that's that much more of an indication that additional help is needed. But you have a person that's working those kind of hours, and they're dedicated, and that's wonderful, but it's not healthy. It's just not psychologically healthy for a person to do that. So then, yeah, something needs to be done
Quickly.
for staffing.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, that's what I think. It's not that I don't appreciate somebody's work ethic at all. It's just a worry.
Well, right.
It's a worry.
And of course, the person that was out on FMLA was due back February 1, and that now has gotten extended. And so you all, when we had the vacancy, you always are in a situation where, okay, do you try to get somebody in to try to help temporarily, or do you, so, the decision was made to just spread out the work. So our payroll person is doing some of those jobs. We're all doing some of the jobs. So it is just a difficult situation.
Mary Ann, for example, when the lady left to be a grandma.
Yeah.
I want to tell you, I hear the emotion in your voice,
Yeah,
and I
thank you.
hear how difficult this is.
Mm-hmm.
When you know somebody's going to be leaving, how much notice do you get?
So she gave us, I think mid-November, she gave notice, and she was done the end of December. She is working a few hours for us every week, part-time. But we immediately turned the position around to start recruiting, but the person, and we have filled the position, we gave an offer, and it takes a while because, by the time you complete your selection process, they have to go in for a series of medical evaluations that take a couple weeks. And so by the time you get that, it was at least the end of January when we were given the all clear. And she had to give a month's notice at her current job. So now we won't have someone in place until March.
Well, I understand everything that Alder Tierney and Alder McElhaney are saying, that it's not healthy to work like that.
Yeah.
But I guess as the head of that department, what would you suggest that's practical that would allow you to decrease the number of hours
Yeah.
that some of these people are working?
Well, we really were feeling like we were getting things under control, and then, the vacancies hit us. And we still are in software implementation. Because like I said, we went through conversions for W-2s and tax filings this month. Obviously, during the budget process, we were implementing new software so that, all of that takes time. It's hard to, I get that we want people to, but when there's no, expression of appreciation during the conversation, that's hard.
Well, I I think that's your perception. I don't think anybody here meant anything by that. We are positive. I think this is a positive thing, like we need people to take off.
Understood.
That's all it was. It wasn't that they're not doing a good job. I didn't go, well, it's because of the vacation rollout. It's like they need time off. That's
Yeah.
my only thing.
I know.
It wasn't anything like that, and I did not perceive anything from
Okay.
anybody else thinking anything but we were worried about your staff. That's it. And I'm just sitting here thinking, maybe we can't drip drab. If payroll is taking that much, how many people do we need? Maybe one more isn't enough. Maybe we need to cross-train 2 just in case or something. I mean, I can't have people working 16 hours a day. That's like Oliver Twist. We can't do that every day.
And that's why when I was talking, I said, at my husband's employer, they make them take one full week
Right.
because they
And
don't
we-
feel that, a long weekend.
Most of the staff is.
Yeah.
It's
Because
just that
you
once
have
you
to.
develop some seniority, you're earning, vacation. And, in the summer, the payroll person was implementing the payroll budgeting. And it was, not all of these projects go smoothly, which means you're working over and over again on finding solutions to things that aren't working. And so that makes it harder too, which was one of the situations. I mean, we've hired now, we went through 3 consultants on the budgeting software, 3 different people in the same consulting firm. Again, they quit. They get in the, like a quarter of the way in and they quit and they lose all the institutional knowledge. And you start over with a new consultant who goes, oh, I have a different approach to that. I see it differently. We're going to do it this way. And it is very hard when you're in that situation because, we're learning too as we go. And so it's been a struggle.
With the person that's on FMLA, and of course, they're going to come back for a job, so you have to
Yeah.
have that. And I don't know, but is there a temp service where a person could do some of the
Yeah.
work where it didn't take an extensive amount of training? Is
Sure.
there some, easier work where it could be,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, this is what we need you to do. We'll spend a couple days shadowing, or we'll watch you do it, and then
Sure.
there. I'm just trying to think of what could give you an immediate relief.
Right.
But yet still leave that opportunity when that person who's on FMLA to come back and
Right.
have that position.
And I think in our situation, the date has gotten extended twice. So, hindsight is 2020. So, yeah.
Well, we're hearing from one department, in your office. We have several others throughout the city. And our job is to serve the citizens of the city. And I think we have to have people there at whatever whatever month of the year, whatever day of the month, to make sure that the citizens of the city are being served. And they're being served over the weekend. Certainly, we notice them over the weekend, and we want to make sure that we have enough drivers on weekends, on Christmas days, to shovel our streets. So what do we need? I think Marianne is saying, specifically, but maybe there are other, through the years, I'm sure there's been some staff cuts, and now perhaps it's being laid in front of this committee that there is a serious issue that we have to talk about and solve. Maybe not tonight, but I think that certainly should be on the agenda continuing so that we can get a handle on the level of staffing that we need for the city. The staff of the city of Wausau, as well as the citizens, are all affected by what we do here, and I think that we have to serve both of them. And I think that this needs more work, and I'm glad, the issue, I'm not glad, but I'm certainly aware now that the issue is brought forth and that we have to do something about it.
Well, I don't want people working on holidays. I mean, that's not good. We don't want people working on holidays. We don't want people working every weekend or till 8 o'clock at night. I don't see this vacation. We'll do this, but I don't see this as a permanent solution to that issue. That's kind of our thought, is that we want people to be able to take it, but even if, no matter what we do with the payout, that's not going to solve the problem with payroll person, working till 8 o'clock at night or doing that. So I think this goes beyond this. I have no problem with this policy, but what do we do beyond this to get this at a better situation? Because I don't want anyone to feel, and I have a feeling this person feels that if she doesn't get it done, somebody doesn't get paid, and that's, spinning the wheels. I have to do it. I don't want anybody to be under that type of pressure. Go ahead, Terry.
I think that was my question to Mary Ann. What do you think should be done? I think that the department heads know their departments and they know where their areas are weak. So maybe those departments that have been so grossly affected by all of this should get together with the appropriate people and say, I've given this tremendous thought, and this is what I think we need to do in our department so that we are adequately staffed and so that we can have some healthy vacation time. That would be my suggestion.
And Mary Ann, when we were doing budget, we saw DPW coming up here and asking for more employees, and we
Yeah.
saw the police coming up here and asking for more employees. I think when you see that your staff is in that situation, and you can't plan for FMLA leaves. That's something that nobody can plan for that. But if that person were back and your staff is still struggling, maybe adding on that additional person so that they can have a healthy work-life balance.
Sure.
But, and you're the one that can make that determination. But we certainly didn't want to show that we don't appreciate the hard work that somebody
Thanks.
does. We just want them to be able to,
Take some time.
yeah,
Agreed.
spend some, they're working so hard, they're entitled to take some time off and sit with their toes in the sun and relax, so.
And we're
yeah.
trying.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess bringing it back to this vacation thing, have you talked to the department heads about this 80-hour bank? Is everybody on board for that?
What I understand is that Ann had talked, there's only right now, it's in our packet here, 6 people that are beyond the current bank. 2 of them are in Mary Ann's department, including Mary Ann. 2 of them are in HR and myself. So,
Heal thyself,
okay.
Okay, so it's really a limited amount, and we know and actually, it's the departments with the least amount of employees, right?
that's true.
HR has 2, and we have, assessor 1, and then, so we're seeing where the pinch points are, that we may need to look, I'm always a big proponent of succession planning and having people cross-trained. I just don't think you're healthy in a business or whatever without that, and that's what I'd like to see. I mean, I know it's not immediate, but I think that anybody that feels they have to work Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve and till 8 o'clock is not something that I want to have continue as somebody on HR committee. So do we want to make a motion to accept this vacation? Thank you. We have a motion by Gisselman, second by Martins. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. I'm aye as well. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Last item here is discussion and possible action to approve reclassifying the Assistant City Planner position.
This was brought by Randy from Community Development. He has a vacancy currently, and part of that vacancy process is to review the job descriptions of that position. And he had done that with HR. And after reviewing the duties that that position fulfills, it falls more in line with the community service analyst position, which is actually a grade lower than where this current position is at. So HR and the community development director are asking that this assistant city planner position be downgraded to salary grade 16.
We're adding a position, is that?
No. In the pay matrix from Gallagher, we're just lowering the pay grade of this position by one step.
So Andrew Lynch isn't the assistant city planner?
No.
No?
Good evening, everybody. So obviously with my moving to director, it opened up a position, economic development manager. We've selected Mr. Lynch to move to that position, so that frees up the assistant planner position. As we're reviewing the economic development manager, which is a manager with the oversight of employees, also looking at non-exempt versus exempt, we noticed that the assistant planner and the economic development manager were on that same salary or the same grade of 15. And given the differences in managerial duties, as well as the exempt versus non-exempt status of those positions, we felt it would be better to have the assistant planner at that grade 16. So there'll be a new person coming into that position.
Any questions about that? Okay, then I'll take a motion to accept. Go ahead.
So moved.
Motion by Martins. Go ahead, Gary.
Well, I was going to, what exactly is the motion? Because,
To reduce this position from grade 15 to grade 16.
which position?
Assistant City Planner.
What about the, so we're,
The Assistant City Planner is open right now.
I understand.
And they think that the job description more or less meets another position that is not, that we don't have currently. So they're asking to reclassify it from a grade 15 to a grade 16.
Okay, that's fine. No further questions.
Okay. So we had a motion, but we didn't have a second. Second by Tierney. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. And so we are on to adjournment. Motion to adjourn, motion by Tierney, second by Killian. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.